Welcome back to Living Local. Tyler Neumann is a choral singer with childhood ties to the Quad Cities. While his family moved around a lot, his favorite vacation spot was always Grandma and Grandpa Neumann's house outside of Milan. Ever since then, moving to New Zealand in 2005, the QC has always been his home in the U.S. He's back home visiting his grandparents this week, and we are lucky enough to have him in studio. Tyler, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Tyler, tell us a little bit about your love for music and when you discovered that.
Well, my first memories of singing, making music of any kind was when I was about 6 years old, living across the river in Story City, Iowa. And there we had a really active local music theater company. And starting at about 6 until when I was about 10, when we shifted from from Story City out to New Zealand, of all places, I was, every year there was 1 or 2 musicals going on, and so I would audition, did some coursework for those, and found I got such, I had such a blast doing that, because I love to act, I love to sing, I love to sort of be just to sort of be a performer, be out there on stage. And around about that time I started taking piano lessons as well, which didn't hold quite so much appeal at the time, but I got a lot of encouragement from Mom and Dad to keep doing that, because they knew more than I did at the time that it would be useful down the line. It's a really important skill to have. And once we shifted to New Zealand, I continued doing music theater while I was there. I tried to find the nearest company pretty much as soon as we hit the ground. And once I started high school, a few years after that, I had my first exposure to singing in choirs. My high school had lots of different choirs across a whole bunch of different genres, and it was at that time that I first started getting exposed to classical music, which hadn't really done so before. It was mostly sort of those more contemporary styles from my theater background. But I found it so interesting, and it was so different from anything I'd done before. When I was the equivalent of a junior in high school, we call it year 12 in New Zealand, I auditioned for the nationally selected New Zealand Secondary Students Choir, which is a choir of about 60 high school students from around the country, just thinking it would be a fun auditioning experience. And I was amazed when I actually made the cut, and then we started doing even more classical repertoire, and I loved every second of it. And it was about that time that I thought that we'll take a bit of a risk, and we'll study music classically at college. A couple years later, I decided to do a sort of a backup degree in physics at the time, but I thought let's take a bit of a leap off the deep end. Let's study classical singing at university, and I loved every second of it. I then sung with the New Zealand National Youth Choir, which was sort of the same thing as the Secondary Students Choir, but a slightly older age bracket. I was fortunate enough to go overseas with both of those choirs and do concert series, including here in the U.S. and in Canada. And that's sort of when I found my niche. Like, I did lots of solo classical singing through my degree program, but ensemble work, working in groups, whether as playing the piano for another singer to sing along with, or to sing in a choir or work in an orchestra, that's where I think I truly found my niche, which is why I'm super excited that the next step is going to be doing choral singing in a professional context.
That is so exciting. And so the professional context that you're doing is going to be with the Peterborough Cathedral Choir. Hopefully I'm saying it right.
You're you're better than
Close?
most of the, yeah. Locally, this is in England, and about an hour north of London in East Anglia. They call it, they would say Peterborough.
Peterborough.
Yeah, it's sort of, they kind of just like there's a lot of vowels in there, and they kind of just sort of skim over all of those.
Okay, what's that opportunity?
Thank
you, Tyler. What's the opportunity going to be like, and what excites you so much about singing professionally?
So all of the England do this really interesting and pretty unique thing that most of the rest of the world doesn't anymore, in that all the big Church of England cathedrals, you know, like the big famous ones like St. Paul's, Westminster Abbey, among several dozen others, their style of service is usually based around a choir that will sort of lead the service, and there's a very important music element that isn't really, that is very classically orientated in a way that, in my experience at least, is super different to pretty much every other sort of style of worship I've ever encountered. But they keep themselves really busy. Like, so including this cathedral that I'm going to be at, Peterborough, there's a quorum of grown-ups. The alto, tenor, and bass parts are sung by grown-ups, and there'll be 9 of us in total, 3 of us on each part. And then you have what's called the front row. The soprano part is sung by children. There'll be a group of boys and a group of girls that'll sort of alternate. Basically, if you imagine what a you know, prim and proper English cathedral choir looks like, you know, red robes and children and grown-ups in the front and back rows, that's exactly what they do over there. The stereotype is there for a reason. But and in former English Commonwealth territories, including New Zealand, that cathedral choir tradition has sort of spread across the world. So I did a bit of that in New Zealand, and what I found is that it's great for musicianship because you're singing a service almost every day with brand new music almost every day, so it keeps your sight singing skills really sharp. Basically, you got to be on top of your game, which is why the grown-ups in these choirs over in the UK are paid for their work. So I was super fortunate to be able to have the chance to audition from overseas for a position in this particular cathedral choir and make the cut in the end.
Well, it's an exciting opportunity on the horizon for you, Tyler. And very soon now, we're going to actually get an in-studio performance from Tyler. It's going to be so exciting, you guys. In the meantime, you can find more information about Tyler on our website on ourquadcities.com. There is a Living Local tab on our front page right there. You can click there. We post all of our videos, all of our web articles, and there will be one of Tyler. But right now, we would love an in-studio performance from Tyler Neumann. Take it away.
Io ti seguì come ride di pace lungo le vie del cielo. Io ti seguì come un'amica face della notte nel velo. E ti senti nella luce, nell'aria, nel profumo dei fiori, e fu piena la stanza solitaria di te, dei tuoi splendori. Interrapito a suon della tua voce, lungamente sognai, e della terra ogni affanno, ogni croce, in quel giorno scordai. Torna, caro ideal, torna ogni istante a sorridermi ancora, e a me risplenderà nel tuo sembiante una novella